Hello everybody, welcome back to the workshop. So in this video we're going to have a quick discussion about tong handle length. Now this discussion came up into question over at Island Metal Forge during one of their Sunday Blacksmith church get-together live streams that they have on Sunday mornings about 10 a.m. I will leave a link to Yamez's channel down in the description down below if you want to go check that out. It's a fun time. I like hanging out over there on Sundays. They got Discord, they got all sorts of cool stuff going on, and they usually go over a tool or a metal of the week. So really informative, and it's a great group think. It's a great place to go be, so I encourage you to go check it out. So during the live stream, the tool of the week this past time that I was on the stream was tongs. And the subject came up about tong handle length. And so I figured I'd put out this video for beginners out there, for you guys just getting started in it. What's the right handle length or reins of tongs for you? What's going to be the correct tong length to take and buy and be the most effective in your shop and your workflow? So in that, it was fairly divided. There's people who liked short-handled tongs or reined tongs, and there's people who like long-range tongs. I'm a personal user of long-range tongs versus the short ones. Now, I do have both. As you can see here, I have a 16-inch length rein pair of tongs. That's from the back of the boss to the end. I have a 13-inch from the back of the boss to the end, and I have a 9-inch here from the back of the boss to the end pair of tongs. So I have them in a whole different range, and we'll get into what those are used for here in just a second and what they're most handy for. The points that I was pointing out in the live stream myself is that with longer reins tongs on it, for the longer reins that you have on your pair of tongs, and the shorter the nibs on the end, the higher the output pressure you can get through leverage, because this is a lever at the end of the day, and the longer the lever is out here, the more work can be applied to the actual jaws of the tongs themselves. And so I like really long tongs. Most people said they like about the medium range, and there was a few people who said that they like really short tongs. So in my experience, if you are a beginner, I suggest that you look at something that's in that 12 inch, maybe 10 to 12 inch range for a pair of tongs, for the reins themselves to be at least 12 inches long, all the way up to somewhere in that 14-inch range. That's what I would suggest if you're just beginning and you don't really know. Now, if you're traveling around and you're going to be going to buddies' houses and everything else, short handle tongs are really nice because they pack well. You can fit a lot of tongs with these short little handles in your toolbox, so to speak. You don't have to have some big long toolbox or something like that to hold some of these longer tongs, especially if you're just hanging these over the side of a bucket, like a steel bucket. That makes it nice too as well. The shorter handles are much nicer in that result. As far as a practicality when it comes to forging is concerned, these tongs, although they are all made to hold similar size material, so flat stock if you will, they all do a little different job here in my workshop. So the long-handled tongs that I like to use in my workshop, I think of them as creating an extension onto the piece of bar stock that we're gripping. So, for example, if I want to put this in practice, say this other pair of tongs here is a length of bar stock that's really hot and it's too short to grab onto and hold on by hand. We can take these longer handled tongs, we can grip that bar stock, and now we can put a tong clip on this springy end out here. So let me grab a tong clip, if you will. Hopefully I can find one that'll fit it perfectly. Too big. Give me a second. So now we can take this tong clip, just like so, and we can squeeze this down and we can put that tong clip on there so this way we don't have any hand fatigue. And now we can grip this up a lot closer to the jaw while working out here on the end, and now it operates just like as if you have a singular bar of steel in your hands without all the stress of having to squeeze way down here on the very end to provide the force. So that's the advantage of having a longer tong. You can apply more leverage, squeeze it down, put a tong clip on it out here, and then you can choke up on it, and this goes behind you to the side of you anyhow, just like so. And now you can work on this piece, hammering on it to your heart's leisure, and it just acts as a longer piece of bar stock. So for me, that's why I like a longer handled pair of tongs. It takes all the fatigue off of my wrist. Now, that doesn't always get the job done. So I'm going to make a case for your shorter handled pair of tongs. In the case of when you need to have a pair of tongs to manipulate things fairly quickly, or you need to grab a piece from different angles, right? You need to grab a piece from different angles. You need to be able to grab it from the end, right? You need to be able to grab it from the end and pull it out of the fire, but then you may need to turn it up like this to upset a piece or work on it. A shorter pair of tongs is going to be a lot less unwieldy to use. So a short-handled pair of tongs is great in that result. A good example of this are scrolling tongs. It wouldn't make sense for a pair of scrolling tongs. As you can see, these are just a little bit bigger than what these farrier-style tongs are, but it wouldn't make sense to have 3-foot-long reins on a pair of scrolling tongs. Because what are you doing? You're using these as a torquing thing to scroll something or to twist or to adjust stuff, right, on scrolls. You need them to work like a pair of pliers, like a pair of needle nose pliers, fairly easily, right? You don't want to have all this length out here because it's not needed. You're not clamping down on something in order to take and provide that additional holding power. You're actually using these to do work to a piece. Similarly, like this, it's easier to grip things from the side, different directions with a short pair of tongs. The short pair of tongs has a drawback though. Short pair of tongs, when you grip a piece like this, per se, okay, look how much little leverage you have versus a long pair of tongs. So in the earlier example, again, these are like almost 8 inches longer on the reins, a little less than that, about 7 inches longer. These pair of tongs are. That gives you a lot more leverage. Now, if we put that same tong clip on here, I'll have to scoot it up here. We are not going to be able, we're getting very little leverage at this point, and so this is fairly easily pulled out of the bar stock, just like so. Okay, so this doesn't provide enough leverage to hold a piece of bar stock very well, especially if you're working under a power hammer. You're going to want some longer tongs for that work. So a good compromise is right in between. You don't get the best of both worlds, but you don't get the worst either. So that's where I'll point you to about 12 to 14 inch handle length for your first pair of tongs is really what you want to kind of look for. Anything shorter than that, think of them as almost like a pair of pliers. They're for doing work to a piece or for being able to grab a piece and manipulate it around easier, but you don't need something to lock on and hold a piece of bar stock to do a bunch of work out at the end. Your short pairs so your longer pairs of tongs, right? Those are going to be your extension tongs, the extension of a piece of bar. Say you're forging a whole bunch of leaves for a project and you keep eating up your bar until you can't grip it no more. That's where some of the guys were making the argument for a short pair of tongs, because they were saying, well, when you're grabbing it with a long pair of tongs, you put your arm way back behind yourself, like so. But that's not how you hold long pairs of tongs. You grip the bar, put a clip on it, and then you grip up on the tongs, just like so. You grip up, choke up on the pair of tongs, assuming you haven't left these in the fire to get super hot. You take them off when you put your piece back in, okay? You grip up on the bar, and now your hand is at a much nicer level with that piece on there, and you're at a much more comfortable angle. And you can do that because you have all this length out here being squeezed down by a tong clip, and those are much nicer to use. Plus, they have the added benefit of shock absorption when you're working under a power hammer. So those are some things for you to think about. If you have any questions about this, feel free to drop your questions down in the comment section down below. There is a ton of knowledgeable guys here on the channel who I'm sure will be jumping right on it to take and answer questions, and you might see me in there as well. And also, put your own thoughts of your tongs. What length tong reins do you personally enjoy in your workshop? Be sure to comment down below. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more content from me. Thank you to all the channel members that make this content possible. I couldn't do it without you. And if you want to join those fine folks, there is the join button just below this video. So that's it for today. God bless each and every last one of you, and we will catch you on the next one. Thanks so much for watching.